Okay, so we're going to go over how to use and where everything is in Pixlr E. So obviously your toolbar is on the side, and hopefully you know what the shortcuts to that are. The history, this shows you what you did. It's honestly not entirely useful. However, the layers panels is, and one of the important things here, if I use the brush tool, for instance, if I go to the brush tool, okay, there we go, use the brush tool, up at the top, it tells you what can be done with this brush tool. So if I want it less opaque, I can drop it, and now it'll be less opaque. Okay. Control Z, most important thing you're going to be using to go backwards each time. Okay. So if I go with a lasso tool, it tells you all the things that I can do with the lasso tool. Okay. And it's really important to keep that in mind. Okay. So lasso tool is a selection tool. Now if I go with B for brush, I can go through, and let's not use that color, and I just hit Control Z. I'm going to go for a red, and I'm going to increase the size of my brush. There we go. And so now I get that. Control D deselects it. Other things that are important as we go through our menu up here, okay, under layers. So layers you want to think of as transparent. You want to think as transparent pieces of paper. So when I add a new layer, it adds a new layer over here. And now I can go through and, for instance, I'm going to flood fill. It actually refused to flood fill on top of that. Or did I miss? Oh, I missed. There we go. Flood fill. There we go. So it's going to flood fill completely red. Okay. However, it's only on this layer. So if I hit the E for erase button, I can erase through to go through the background. Now I'm going to undo that, but now I'm going to change the opacity. And I'm actually going to use the gradient tool. So I used the gradient tool, but I did not change the opacity, so let's change that first. There we go. Okay. Other options up here are blend. Okay, so I'm going to do it as a, let's do it as a color burn. That's probably going to get weird. No, actually, it didn't get weird. Depending on how you blend, it's basically blending the front layer and the back layer. I'll go with hard light. It's not doing too much just because of I'm using the gradient, but I am going to go with the erase. I'm going to make it bigger, and okay, that did not work the way I wanted. It's because I have a soft brush, so I'm going to take the softness and I'm going to drop it. So now it's a very, very hard brush. I'm going to shrink it, and now this is what's going through. Okay. Now, this only happened to the top layer. Really important. So now I'm going to use the wand tool, and I'm going to select all of that squiggle. Okay. Now I'm going to go back with my brush. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use my gradient tool again, but I'm going to change the color. And I hate that color, so let's go with yellow. And let's go back to the gradient. Okay, notice how it's only going to cover the part that's selected. All right. Animation we're not going to deal with. Under layers, we'll get into some of this a little bit later, not particularly important. All of this can be done using hotkeys, except for save selection. Okay, so you want to select all, Control A. Go to adjustment layers. So adjustment layers can alter a single layer. So I'm going to go to brightness and contrast and see how it's only affecting the stuff in the front. Oh, there we go. Filters are great fun. You can go to the effects library. They honestly don't have as many as in Photoshop. You can play with effects. Ignore animation. View, and this is something that you do want to pay attention to. Zoom in and zoom out. If you want to zoom in, Control plus. You want to zoom out, Control minus. That's about all that you really need to know there. And so what I want you to do today is play with what each tool actually does. So I go up to here. What's the tolerance do? Well, the tolerance, if I go on up to there and then I click, oh look, it's selecting a large amount of stuff. And now I'm going to go in with my brush and, okay, there we go. That's what that's going to do. Okay, what about mirror? I don't know what mirror does. Let's go with horizontal. Mirror, and let's shrink our brush. There we go. Okay, what's mirror do? Oh, see how it's drawing the stuff in below? Let me add a white. Maybe that'll help. So I'm going to go to white. I'm going to put the opacity up so I can see it. Oh, look what mirror does. Well, that's kind of cool. It's mirroring everything. Okay. So today is kind of a play day, but you've got to figure out what these tools do. I was just trying to think of anything else. Nope, I would just start at the top tools and work your way down, see what you can figure out.